Well, everyone, if you're just joining us, thank you. We were a little bit delayed here. That is because of a major outage by Cloudflare. And we will chat with you guys and tell you what that is all about and how that affects everything. So websites around the world, ChatGPT is down, X platform is down. Many people worldwide are experiencing outages with Cloudflare. It's a major, major company in the United States that is, I would say, the backbone behind the internet. We are going to see how much longer we got. We're trying to get Twitter up here as well, but should be fine. We're going to bring our panel on anyway, and we have Carl Zaw waiting back for us. We have Shang Yu, I believe. Is that correct? Give me the thumbs up, Shang Yu. There we are, sir. And let's get you onto the panel. Let's bring you up onto the screen here as well. And thanks, everybody. Carl Zaw has hopped into the seat as well. So it looks like we're in good shape, everybody. All right. Well, here we go. On the screen, you can see we got a little bit of a dialogue here for you guys. This is the Japanese foreign ministry official. He has been dispatched to China amid escalating disputes following Japanese Prime Minister Takeshi Shine's comments regarding a Taiwan crisis. The Japanese government hopes to utilize opportunities this week to cool tensions. Not quite the greatest way to bring things to light, but hey, let's hear it from our panel. Let's bring everybody on to the stage now. Just a moment, everybody. If you guys can hang in there a sec, and we will be with you guys. All right, here I'm on the screen, and Mr. Zaw, there we go. We all got the whole panel up, and it's great to see everybody on the screen. Carl, how are you doing tonight? Showing you how you doing?
Great. Thank you very much for having us on.
Alex.
Well, boys, tension. Get out those, I would say binoculars if you're in Taiwan at the moment, and if you're on the coast here. Are we seeing some military drills go on? I'm going to go over to Carl's off first to start it off. Our panel, Carl, you can tell everybody about your channel, and welcome to the show, everybody. Just so you guys know, we were scheduled to start at 9:30 tonight, but what has happened is Cloudflare. You're going to hear this after the show. It's going to be the talk of the internet. Cloudflare outage. Many people worldwide are presently unable to open up sites. A lot of the sites that we use here as well, even our Canva, our generator for graphics, it went down 20 minutes before the show. X platform went down. And I'm just wondering if Amazon is going to be affected as they're going into a big sale this weekend.
Well, okay, X is up. X is up. Cloudflare is down, so you cannot access X.
Got it.
You know, I was asking all those questions. Is X down? Right. And all the AI telling me, oh no, X is up, and then no, Cloudflare is down. So anyway, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, about the tension between Taiwan, I mean about Japan and China. This is completely, what should I say? It's maybe like a what is it? A teacup in a storm.
Well,
self-created. I mean, like, look, nobody invited the Japanese PM to make such a statement, right? I mean, like, and she just happened to make a statement infringing on the reddest of red lines, which is over Taiwan. China has made it very clear Taiwan is part of China. It's nobody else's business. It's internal matter. Nobody else should get their foot stuck in the Taiwan issue. And what does she do? She said, "Oh, if there will be warships around Taiwan," I think he's talking about like a possible naval blockade around Taiwan. Yeah. He said, "Then it's an existential issue for Japan." No, it isn't. You know, Japan does not import energy from Taiwan. Japan can perfectly live without Taiwan. But But by saying that Japan will militarily intervene in a Taiwan situation, she's making it an existential issue, because if China can be perfectly rational about everything else, but Taiwan is a very emotional issue for the Chinese people and for China, right? China would not will react very emotionally, especially if Japan chimes in, because there's a whole colonial history of Japan with Taiwan. Taiwan was forcibly taken away from China at the end of the First Sino-Japanese War in 1894 and 1895, when China was forced to give up Taiwan to Japan, Empire of Japan, and Taiwan became a Japanese colony for 50 years. Only after end of World War II, when Empire of Japan was defeated, Japan had to give up Taiwan. And now by her saying, oh, the Japanese military is going to return to Taiwan, now that is stirring up a hornet's nest. I mean, like, a lot of people are criticizing, a lot of people on Twitter, especially from the Western countries, are criticizing China for this outburst. But look, there's a premise. The premise is, if Japan get militarily involved in a Taiwan situation, and in fact, when it comes to Chinese people and the Chinese government, I would say the Chinese government is actually pacifist compared to most of the population in China. For a lot of people, Chinese people, they think that would be a perfect time to settle the score of the first and the second Sino-Japanese War if Japan were to militarily intervene in a Taiwan situation. So far, it's just a war of words, which is, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with war of wars. And the war of words was started none other than the Japanese PM. Nobody asked her to make such statement, but she decided to do it.
Well, I'm going to bring up a slide here because we did some investigating prior to the show, and we were working this afternoon getting this research out. I just also, before I bring Shengyu on, and thank you for joining us as well. It's your first time on the show, and we greatly appreciate the time and energy and your input from the strategic part you are in right now. Here is a couple of controversial things. Now, this is not uncommon for Japan to stick its nose and make comments and ruffle the feathers, as Carl Zaw says. But here's where she goes beyond that. Analysts say her wording goes beyond past prime ministers' more cautious language, raising legal questions about Japan's pacifist constitution. They're always bringing up this Article 9 and the use of military force. The controversy some view is a bold leadership in a tough regional context. Others say it's a risk dragging Japan into a conflict, undermining diplomatic strategy. I already think a torpedo has gone off, and that torpedo has gone off to the Japanese tourism business. It's going to get absolutely hammered by this. And you just don't do that. As a prime minister, you have to look at the sectors and the businesses that you're in. And the first one that you're going to go at Chinese and get involved in what is a Chinese, well, I would say Chinese business, let alone our own personal thing to manage. And she's getting involved there and starts talking, I would say, pretty radically, if you ask me. I'm just wondering if she's had a visit from the U.S. State Department or the U.S. Department of War, or somebody down there, Pete Hegseth, as maybe sat in her office and gave her some advice, bad advice. But let's have a look here. We're going to look at this together, guys. I'm just going to bring you out here. So this is a little bit of the fallout, we're going to say here, diplomatic fallout and economic shock. Absolutely. And if you guys don't think that this has hit certain companies already, it has. So the catalyst in November, Takachai stated that Taiwan contingency could be a survival-threatening situation, implying Japanese military intervention. This breaks from traditional strategic wording, we'll say. Beijing condemned it. Both Japan and China summoned each other and their ambassadors. I would say humiliation tour, to use the words correctly. The economic fallout. The diplomatic crisis had triggered immediately and severe negative consequences for Japan economy, starting with, and I said it, guys, tourism. That country has been on life support for the last 20 years, and the last thing it needs is to kill its industry. Okay, here we go. Here's some statistics for you guys. 7.49 Chinese tourists between January and September. Those numbers vary depending on what sites you use for research. Beijing has warned its citizens against traveling to Japan, citing safety risks. Chinese travel agencies and halting sales of Japan-bound trips, and airlines are offering full refunds. This targets Japan's largest and highest spending tourist group. I'm going to carry on, and here is what I'm talking about, guys. Look at this. Stocks in tourism. Japan Airlines down 4%. Oriental Disney down 6%. You can see certain cosmetics down 9%. I mean, buyers are gone. And I'll tell you, China's very patriotic. Its people, its netizens get quickly. They're hybrid. They're very fast to decide, where they're going to go. And look at the numbers here, guys. Have a look at this. South Korea was 22.3% of Japan's market for tourism, but close behind that, 18.4% is the Chinese tourism. And I can tell you, when mistakes are made in the tourism sector, and I'm going to, go into this, guys. When mistakes are made in the tourism sector, I saw it in Thailand with my very eyes when there was issues with China, not China to China's issue, but there were some security issues in Thailand. That sector has not recovered. It has not recovered today. And Thailand sitting there going, well, what happened? What happened? What did we do? Guys, you took your eyes off the prize, and that is valuable tourism business. Bilateral trade could be affected. This is a $300 billion relationship. And the wider economy, the Japanese GDP contracts. It's bad news all around. So the risk, the deterrence argument, and the immediate costs. Well, that's what I'm bringing you guys in to help me out with. We're going to go to our new friend here, Sheng Yu. Give us your perspective here. What's your location right now?
I am in Taiwan's New Taipei.
Okay, let's hear what they're saying over there, my friend.
Well, I think these statements by the new Prime Minister Takaichi, we have to understand the political landscape within Japan, which is there is a very powerful far right that is represented, I think, best more recently by Shinzo Abe. And these recent statements by her was a signal to her constituency that she will be continuing on his path of increased militarization and a more aggressive foreign policy. And the response that we are receiving from Taiwan's administration right now, the iChongqing administration, is one of, it's being positively received by them, but that doesn't mean it is necessarily being positively received by the people. We have to keep in mind the current administration in Taiwan is widely unpopular. It was elected with just 40% of the vote, 30% if we count abstentions, and support has been in free fall ever since its mismanagement of the island for the past year. So we have to understand from iChongqing's perspective, he's losing support of the people. And right now, as the U.S. is recalibrating its relations with the Chinese mainland, it's hoping that these regions, especially Taiwan, can pull back from some of these more aggressive posturing, because this sort of the U.S. likes this sort of posturing if it's trying to mount pressure onto Beijing. But then now when it's in the phase of trying to mend things and have a more workable relationship, it does not appreciate it when these puppets like iChongqing go out of their way to do these sorts of things. So right now, iChongqing is very isolated. Trump doesn't like him. The people of Taiwan don't like him. But one faction of people likes him a lot, and that is the Japanese far right. So we're seeing this sort of symbiotic relationship between them, and the new prime minister, I believe, is trying to work towards that direction and also raise support among the ultra right wing within Japan.
Well, thanks for that oversight. But why now? Why of all times now? I mean, we are coming up to a very, very hot season for tourism. This is not a good time to be unloading comments. November going up around travel season, and then we all know January, February are very, very active seasons for the 1.4 billion people here in China. I mean, this is sabotaging your economy. I mean, do you think this is her actual genuine words coming from her, or is somebody behind this?
I don't think anybody pointed a gun at her head and tell her to make such a statement. I mean, this has been the Japanese politics has been steadily shift toward right over the years. I mean, when we talk about Japanese right-wing politician, we're really talking about the more right-wing politicians of Japan, because the right wing has been pretty much in control of the Japan politics for much of the post-war era. And one of their biggest obstacle to the Japanese right wing is Article 9 of the Japan's peace constitution, which was imposed on Japan after World War II. Now, the peace constitution is actually very popular among the Japanese citizens because a lot of people think that, by turning away from the militarism of pre-World War II Japan, that's how Japan were able to achieve its post-war economic miracle. So politicians have to find ways to try to get rid of the Article 9. The Shinzo Abe almost succeeded, by reinterpret what the Article 9 would mean. The Article 9, basically, Japan should not have a military except to maintain a self-defense force that's only for Japan's own security. Now, Shinzo Abe have interpreted that to mean we also need to support our allies, like United States. U.S., Japan needs to be able to support our ally in contingency of war in the area around Japan. Now, there's still a degree of ambiguity there. It didn't explicitly spell out. What the current prime minister of Japan did is she just completely discarded the strategic ambiguity and saying, if there's warship around Taiwan, that's an existential issue for Japan. The Japanese military will get involved, will deploy, because even though it's not outside the territory of Japan, but it's existential, so we must get involved. Nobody says that. Not even United States has discarded the strategic ambiguity. In fact, United States spent many decades trying to kind of dance around this strategic ambiguity, neither deny nor confirm whether U.S. will come to join a war over Taiwan. Even the Taiwan Biden. Oh, wait, let me finish. Even when Biden says he would defend Taiwan, that still could be walked back because nobody believes what comes out Biden's mouth, because Biden is basically a senile old man, and that enabled the White House later to walk back his statement. But this is a very non-senile Japanese prime minister, may in unambiguous terms say Japan will get involved. And this is the reddest of the red line for China, because for China always maintain Taiwan is part of China. This is an internal matter to be settled among Chinese people of both across the Taiwan Strait. It's nobody else's business. And go ahead, Xiangyu. Sorry.
I wanted to say that the sentiment on the ground over here in Taiwan is that the U.S. is not a reliable ally or partner, and that should the unthinkable happen over here, the U.S. will not deploy troops over here. And the other question is, well, once I think the fourth aircraft carrier is operational, will the U.S. even have the capability of entering the first island chain? And I think a lot of the responses of this is people freaking out over this shift in the power balance, especially after the September 3rd military parade, where Beijing flexed its military might and showed the whole world its new capabilities. So the U.S. policy towards Taiwan right now is very simple. Okay, we want to Ukrainianize, you want to turn into a porcupine, you want to get a bunch of these drones, a bunch of these weapons. And the thing is this, it's not that the U.S. really thinks that these things could really prevent an attack should the PLA seek one. It's more of, we want to offload our overpriced and outdated weapons, and we know we could strong arm you into buying them. Oh, and in the past, we've been strong-armed into buying so many weapons at overpriced value, and then the U.S. will then pressure us to sell them to the Philippines at a discount, knowing that the leadership over here will comply. So don't believe for a second that the U.S. will actually send boots on the ground should the situation get bad. I mean, we saw the way that the U.S. pulled out of Afghanistan. We saw the way that
Pulled out.
oh, okay, you know what I mean.
Humiliated is another
Yeah,
is the best way for it.
Yeah, or the way it hung the Ukrainians out to dry after egging them on to fight Russia.
Well, you got a very good point, and I want to add to that because your point is basically you're saying that the Americans are using nations as like a used car sales lot for military equipment, and it works.
It works. The U.S. politicians get kickbacks, and the military-industrial complex makes a lot of money. So the idea isn't to provoke war; it is to maintain enough tension to keep the script going.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
also,
pretty
USS
worrying
Ford is
stuff.
not coming to Taiwan, folks. USS Ford is on its way to Venezuela, so it's not coming to Taiwan. I think we just lost Alex for a second.
No. Oh, did you? Okay, I'll be 1 second, guys.
We can still
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
you.
no
We just
worries.
can't see you.
Yeah, 1
Yeah,
second.
we'll keep the show going, Alex. No
Yeah,
worries.
yeah.
It's not my show. Welcome to the Silk and Steel podcast, folks. So I mean, but I like to hear your take, Xiangyu. Why did Takaichi made that statement? I mean, no, I don't think anybody put a gun to her head to force her to say such a thing.
I think she's just trying to signal to her supporters that she is in fact going the direction of Shinzo Abe. That's the only thing I can think of. What else is she thinking of? Maybe the DPP had some sort of deal with her. Hey, do this right now. It'll make our Ichongqing look good. But I don't think they're that influential because the relationship between the DPP and Japan is not exactly equal. It's very how do you say 一厢情愿? It's full of wishful thinking. Yeah, it's very one-sided, wishful thinking. And it's just the Japanese knowing that there are these types of people in Taiwan that they can use and manipulate. That's as easy as it is. And this thing is especially painful for Chinese people. And I think what I really appreciate now is coming from the CPC this time is they're not just talking about the 14 years of collective resistance against Japan. Now they're talking about you guys killed tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of our Taiwan compatriots. You guys did this. You guys reduced them to colonial slaves. So it's like now speaking from this perspective that I think for the longest time, Beijing did not really pursue. And for a number of reasons over here in Taiwan, it wasn't really touched upon. So yeah, now I think there's a beginning of a major shift in rhetoric. And this year, the Taiwan Retrocession Day, October 25th, became a national public holiday on the Chinese mainland, not just in Taiwan now. It is celebrated by the entirety of the Chinese people. The day Taiwan was formally returned to China by Japan. I think in the past, the attitude from Beijing was, well, retrocession happened when the KMT was in charge of China. It doesn't have too much to do with us. But now it's like, no, it does have to do with us. We're all Chinese people.
You know, it's interesting when we get into these dialogues with people and how they refer to Taiwan. I just always tell them, point me out their seat in the United Nations, and then we'll have a conversation. Until you can do that, it's a non-starter.
And even before 1971, that seat was in Taiwan. It was still China.
Correct. Carl, where are we going to go with this? I mean, Japan doesn't, picking a fight with China, we know is not good. War of words is not good. But where does this really go? I mean, I see immediately what's going to happen. And I always focus on this because this is usually what brings countries to their knees, and then they become very desperate. But their tourism business is going to get hit hard. Business is going to get hit hard. Bilateral trade is going to get hit hard. Diplomatic, relationships are going to get hit hard. And then you're going to see a hardening of other nations saying, wait a minute, look at China. China's bullied Taiwan, or not Taiwan. China's bullied, Japan, and we got to get in there. I guarantee you guys what's going to happen here over the next few weeks is you're going to see a steady flow of American congressmen. They're going to start doing their dog and pony shows in Japan. You're going to see other nations go there. I would say other nations that aren't probably part of the BRI or BRICS, the collective West, you're going to see it. You're going to see the Australian prime minister go over, maybe the Canadian prime minister's got to go over because, well, she got some pushback and some rightly so pushback. What do you think of that, Carl? I think their economy is going to get hammered.
Well, I mean, this will actually make those Japanese right-wing people who keep always posting on X complaining about Chinese tourists. They'll make those people happy. You know, Chinese tourists are not coming anymore. Don't worry about it. But
She
I
even
don't
made
think
a comment about tourism. She even made a comment about tourism. Did you hear that? She was saying, so on immigration, she has taken a hardline stance calling for stricter controls on foreign residents, focusing on foreigners must strictly obey Japanese law. Okay, we get that. And this is a country that says they're strict on immigration when they had maybe a handful of asylum seekers. Okay. Her controversial social views clash more on progressive domestic and international trends, raising concerns about her rights and diversity. And then she went on and says she started to dabble in World War II. Not smart with that. And then her stance was again pushing back against tourism. Focusing on a more hybrid style of tourism to Japan. I guess they don't like the backpackers that pay a couple $100 a night for their small hotels over there. But yeah, this is it's always interesting. And another interesting point is being a Canadian here in China, and I hear how bad the history is with these countries, and I'm quite surprised at how many people can just get on a plane and go to Japan. I mean, maybe us Canadians, we remember a lot of stuff, man. And when we're choosing to travel certain parts of the world, if stuff happened to our grandmothers and grandfathers, I mean, we have, I think it's, I think it's coming up, or maybe it's just happened. We have a Remembrance Day in Canada, and that's for all our fallen soldiers. And that is a huge, big family day. Tuesday, November 11th. It was last week. Yeah. That is a massive day for Canadians because, World War II really affected a lot of us. And what we see here is, a nation of Japan, opening up and ripping off Band-Aids from years ago. And I can't fathom why Chinese want to travel to this country.
Well, you have to understand, Alex, Japan actually do have a lot of soft power. It did a whole post-war makeover, made into the land of anime and cute, fluffy animals, Pokemon. So that did affect China as well as the rest of the world. A lot of people of my generation, they grew up watching Japanese cartoon, and it's been like that ever since. A lot of people there's a lot of fans of Japanese pop culture, obviously. So for this reason, people are traveling to Japan. But this now is going to force people to take a second look because, maybe people were under the impression that Japanese people were, have repentant for the action of their grandpas during World War II. And but there are also some people who will refuse to go to Japan. I know a Shanghainese woman who, outwardly you're kind of cosmopolitan liberal type. She has tattoos all over her body. She married a Russian guy, and she's Shanghainese, right? But she's also a self-made entrepreneur. But she told me she would not go to Japan. One country she would not. She has been traveling all over the world, but she said she would not go to Japan because of World War II, because of what the Japanese did during World War II, and so there are a lot of Chinese people like that. But now there are going to be more Chinese people, including the Chinese youth, will come to realize, oh, wow, okay, the Japanese politicians are actually quite unrepentant about what happened in World War II, and now that might start reevaluating whether they should pursue to have that.
This
in
is what
Japan.
I'm talking about, man. This is exactly what I'm saying. Is this
Well-
the ignition and the fire that is going to wake up? And maybe it's going to take, because I got to tell you, in the last 48 hours here, it's coming from all angles. Okay. And it's, I have friends that said, yeah, I just canceled my trip to Japan. I was like, sorry, what? Yeah, I was thinking about going over the Christmas Eve. No, forget it. And the country's more united than I've ever felt it right now at this very moment.
Tickets. 500,000 tickets have been returned ever since these statements.
500,000.
Yeah.
So this is, when we started this conversation, you felt it's a storm in a teacup. Maybe I misunderstand that, but I don't think it is. I think this is going to be very, very bad for Japan. And when I say when economies get hammered, okay, I'm more of a finance guy when it comes to these discussions. When economies get hammered and you start hitting the bottom line, and we're talking the mom and pop shops, the small hotel chains, sure, some of the big hotel chains and tourism markets, but it is a domino effect. And what happens is the economy goes down, the people lose faith in the government then goes to another tactic. How can we divert the public from being from being angry and being pissed off? Bring them into war or bring them into conflict.
Alex, when did politicians ever care about the economy? Like, if that was the case, Trump wouldn't not have started this whole tariff war business. I mean, we have been living through 7 to 8 months of that. It's all completely self-inflicted. If Trump were worried about the economy, he should not have done that. So I think the politicians, their only goal is to get enough votes from their, get enough support from their voter base, stay in power. And I don't think that, how the tourism industry is doing is on Takaichi's mind.
But it has to be. It's a huge amount of their economy. It has to be.
Amount of Taiwan's economy too, but that didn't prevent Taiwan from unilaterally ceasing to recognize the 1992 consensus, which was the basis of the working relations we have with the Chinese mainland. And the Beijing's authorities were just like, okay, if you don't want to recognize one China, we won't send our tourists over there to Taiwan anymore. It's been hit hard for nearly a decade now, but it's the DPP still, still doesn't really care about the well-being of and the livelihoods of the people. So I think it is a what do you think the Japanese are, communists?
Yeah, I mean, look at the soybean farmers in U.S. They're being hitting hard right now. China stopped buying soybean for United States.
Canola oil
and for Canada too. Yeah, from Canada as well.
But Japan's getting it on all angles, guys. 15% tariffs on almost all imports from Japanese goods to the Americans. Their car business is going to get smoked. So this is everything. It's
their car business getting smoked anyway. I mean,
I get that, but I'm saying we have to look at the catalyst here. Why is it, and the timing of this, she knows when she said something like that, the consequences, and the consequences are huge.
We have to pull back and look at larger context here. Like, what did the EU do recently? the bunch of EU parliamentarians through the so-called IPAC, the Inter-Parliamentarian Alliance on China, which is an organization of the EU parliamentarians co-sponsored by none other than Marco Rubio. They decided to invite the so-called vice president of Taiwan to speak in Brussels. And that also step on China's reddest of the red line. But the whole move was designed to torpedo relationship between China and EU, because China and EU were on track to sign a new fresh round of talk on the free trade deal between China and EU, and that this is US have every incentive to torpedo that. But in case of Japan, I think maybe there's some push from US, but I think there's also the Japanese right-wing politicians just looking for every excuse to completely do away with Article 9 of the Japan's peace constitution, and that way to allow them to quote unquote be a normal country and have the Japanese military be deployed outside of Japan. That has been the goal of the Japanese right wing for a long time. Shinzo Abe nearly succeeded. Takaichi is signaling she's going to continue that legacy. I mean, she's trying to speak to her voter base here. This what I agree with you, Xiangyu. By the way, I think this is a bit of a signaling, and economy. Who cares about the economy? but you know what? But you know what? You are. I think you're also onto something, Alex, because Japan's economy has been in the doldrums for a while.
Decades.
Ever since they've been neutered essentially by United States through the Plaza Accords, and let's remember the Japanese semiconductor industry used to be world leading until it was kneecapped by U.S. sanctions.
Exactly.
And so now Japan's maybe the only way they could get out of this doldrum is go for a military industrial complex, like Hitler.
That's what I'm talking about, boys. That's exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
This is why the whole EU people now they're talking about complying with U.S. requests to spend 5% of their GDP on military, which is completely nonsense because U.S. itself doesn't spend 5% of its GDP on defense, and what could that possibly do? Well, EU is deindustrializing right now. All the German industries are being moved out of Germany to United States. So maybe this is just my conjecture. Maybe it's the EU politician thought, okay, well, how do we save our economy? Military industrial complex. Let's make weapons. Let's make
exactly.
Make tanks.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I just want to mention to the studios here and people watching, this is the first time that we've had, and I think it's on all channels here on Carl Zaw's channel, iChongqing's channels, and Xiangyu's channel, is you will also see a mobile vertical of the show as well. So if you're watching on a mobile, you can actually go to our page and it will be streamed vertically as well. I can see on our backstage, we also see horizontal. So we have.
I was trying to figure out why you are streaming, like doing two streaming show to my channel, and I figure out one is mobile. Actually, the mobile is getting most view right now, I think.
Yeah, I'm seeing that right now. We have over 600 people viewing it. Guys, I want to. We had a lot of questions here about Chinese ability to defend themselves. I want to bring up a video. Let's just watch it for a couple of minutes here, guys. This is my walkthrough in Zhuhai last year. My walkthrough during the Chinese air show. I love how they call it just the air show. What I found was the most interesting place was the weaponry hall. And you guys can have a little look here. You guys, Xiangyu and Carl, if you need to grab a coffee, the viewers are going to enjoy this. And here we go, guys. Okay, let's have a look at this.
What this show is all about. Now, a lot of it has to do around the unmanned aerial vehicles. Of course, we have maneuver assault combat systems as we go on heavy armored battalion tanks, high mobility light infantry, engineer and chemical battalions, reconnaissance battalions, and of course munition attack battalions. This is serious hardware. Okay, we continue to move on in the convoy air defense battalion and
okay, so it looks like Cloudflare is not really rocking and rolling tonight for us, guys. So we're going to see how we can continue the live stream. I was going to show you guys a little bit of a walkthrough of our show here in Zhuhai, but it looks like Cloudflare is having a little bit of an issue. We're going to go over to.
And of course, the area defense system.
We've got our feedback.
We're going to show you this firsthand. Come with me. Let's go. Okay, so we're at the first display here. Now, this is a massive truck. You'll see the side of it here, how far it goes. I would estimate this truck is a good 15 meters long. It's called the high-powered microwave weapon system, the HPM 3000. Now, as we're walking, I want to show you the size of this machinery. Now, this system, it's a huge truck-mounted mobile ground-based, high-powered, now here it is again, high-powered microwave-directed energy weapon. What does that really mean? Well, we see the conflict going on right now in the Ukraine, where drone technology is really in the new forefront of military strategies. Now, the primary intended system here is to basically down drones, okay? There are all types of models of this. And let's just look around the back here and see how huge this piece of hardware is. Wow. I mean, absolutely stunning. Just a massive, I'll see if I can get the camera to show you how big the wheel is. The wheel is almost up to my chest size, okay? So we're seeing how it is, and it is just solid steel. And these tires here, if we see the tires, this is built for very difficult terrain. Of course, you might think that you're just going to drive something up a street with one of these, but no, these machineries have to be in the warfield, right? And right out in the middle of really difficult terrain. We'll take you on to another unit, which is a little bit smaller. This is more compact as we kind of glide in between here. You will see this one has a four-wheel design, more rugged as well. Probably it can really buckle down into the swampy, slushy area, and it's more mobile. This one is called the PLB-625E microwave weapon system here. So these are two weaponry that we've seen that are going to play a really pivotal part here in ongoing conflicts, and will also deter whoever the enemy is, that your drones will not be able to stand up to this technology. Let's have a look at the impact here. I'm in front of the PLB-625E. You can see in front of me here a UAV damage drone. This is the purpose of these vehicles. Now, let's have a look at this vehicle as we walk along. This is a massive show, so we have a lot of equipment to show you. Now, this is the 625EAA gun missile integrated weapon system. This vehicle is armed with both missiles and Gatling style cannons. You can see them up there as well. This is actually, it's described, this is China's beastly new air defense, short range air defense, our new top of the mind, and China is moving fast in this space. So have a look at this here, just totally kitted out. And this is, I would say, pretty much any military around the world is going to have to adjust. And this is all part of combating a war that has really focused in the air with drones. And this is a vehicle, we'll call it the anti-drone or whatever, the anti-defense system that will help, combat drones. We have anti-aircraft. We have those on display here. We'll see those a little bit later. But once again, this is focusing on drones. And we can see all these vehicles behind us here. We will try to get to most of them and try to get an expert that will give us an idea of what's going on here. I'm standing in front of the J-20S, one of the most lethal fighter jets in the Chinese Air Force. Now, behind me here is a half-scale size of the aircraft. You can see, now it's the Aviation Industry Corporation of China that is behind this amazing fighter jet. Now, the AVIC, short, is the Chinese state-owned aerospace and defense conglomerate. It's headquartered here in Beijing, China. AVIC is overseen by the State-Owned Asset Supervision and Administration Commission of the State Council. It is ranked 140th in the Fortune Global 500 list in 2021. Now I'm in front of a 1.2 version, half version of the J35A. Key features include enhanced stealth, information, network integration, and intelligent capabilities. The J35A is designed to adapt to advancements in technology, shifts in warfare, and evolving threats, driven by transformation of air combat mechanisms and advanced new technologies. It prioritizes information warfare in real time, collaborative operations, and multi-domain combat. The other thing that I want to mention about all the planes at the show here, even though this is declassified, it is almost impossible to get representatives to talk about these devices because this is intellectual property at its most private part. And it's really hard to get individual spokespeople, the people that designed it, the people that fly it. They simply will not talk about the specifics on camera. And well, it's up for me and you to do our research to try to understand what is behind these amazing products produced here in China. And your name is?
You can call me Daisy.
Okay, and what do you think about the show here?
And I'm very proud to be a Chinese.
Oh, that's so great. And what was the most special thing that you've seen besides your product and your company? But what is one of the most interesting things you've seen here at the show?
It's my first air show, so everything seems interesting
Well,
and
there
exciting.
we go, guys. I mean, it's quite interesting to hear that. You know, when I was at that show and I was talking to Chinese people, I mean, millions of people show up for it. They all said to me, "Listen, we trust our government, we trust our military. They're here for defensive purposes." That's what the average person says. We're not going out purchasing, buying this equipment because we want to go into other countries and regime change, which may happen in Venezuela in the next couple of weeks. But this is really down to defense. And I'm reading a lot of the comments. I don't know if you are, Carl. There's a couple of people here. You know what I'm talking about.
My
There's a
favorite
couple.
is the 凡人君子的奴隶, that one, saying how to make the Japanese become your friend and respect you most quickly and efficiently. A little boy and a fat man.
Are you reading the ones about the military, Carl? Or what do you?
Well, actually, I'm more interested in how you get invited to those shows, Alex. I mean, you are like like those are the kind of shows every boy's dream, to get to visit all these military hardware. That's so cool.
I've only showed a fraction of that, but I have to tell you guys, I was very impressed by it. And it wasn't put on display to be arrogant. It was put on display to be educational. And everyone that was going there, they have this kind of like a little passport where you stamp and you get it in this little book. And it's a lot of families go around, and it's the way it's displayed and the way it's explained to people. I mean, I'm reading the comments, and of course we're going to get some, we'll say neocons, to say it politely, neocons in the chat, and saying there's not a chance. And if, China does anything, Americans going to be all over there. I mean,
then why is the U.S. moving its troops away from Okinawa to Guam? Pulling away from the island.
You tell us why. You tell us why.
Well, the balance of the balance of power is shifting. China right now has 3 aircraft carriers in the region, and the 4th one is going to be deployed soon. And that changes the name of the game. Whereas in the past, in the 20th century, Beijing was unable to immediately liberate Taiwan because of naval superiority by both the U.S. and the KMT. But now that's completely changed. Gone are the days when not the U.S., even the KMT, such a small regime, was able to enforce a naval blockade around the entirety of the Chinese mainland up until the 1970s. Is that the case anymore nowadays? And if we look at history, how did Emperor Kangxi regain Taiwan from the Ming rump state over here, from the Zheng family? It wasn't through this huge show of like force and bombing and all that stuff. No, it was just a simple blockade. You blockade, and then shortly afterwards, there's pressure from within. Hey, we need to find a way to end this blockade. Yeah, the Zheng family surrendered, and Taiwan came under the control of the Qing. The Ming holdout just went away, and history repeats. It's Chinese are at an advantage in the sense that we have 5,000 years of military history to refer to, whereas I know in the West, at military academies, do study these campaigns. You also study, the ancient battles of Europe and all of that. But when it's your own culture, your own civilization, I feel like it's studied on a societal scale much more seriously.
Well, look, many Chinese people today will be able to recite their own history. Not many people in U.S. today are still educated about, the classics. There's a classic history of, Roman or Greece anymore. So there's no comparison. But anyway, besides that, what we're talking about,
Canada's not the 51st state of America. I just want to make that clear. Right now, I'm a Canadian.
Not yet, Alex. Not yet.
Stop it, Josh. Stop it. Never. I'm going to add to this. I was watching a program last night about the Canadian flag, right? And I don't know if the viewers know this. We changed our flag in, I believe it was 1967, 1965, just before the World Expo in Montreal. And, that flag to us, I guess I lost my camera again. What's that? There we go. We'll be back. So, yeah, guys, I'm going to fix my camera and then I'll get on to my Canadian story in a minute. I'm going to hand it over to you, Carl.
All right. I'm taking over now.
It's not the 51st state, it is the 10 northern provinces.
Well, or as my Canadian friend used to say, Canada is a bunch of mining company masquerading as a country. But right now, to answer Alex's question about why U.S. is pulling to Guam, according to the U.S. Pacific, the commander of U.S. Pacific Command, he basically said, what? Okay, so let's suppose if the war starts, the problem is how can we sustain it? How are we going to protect our bases in Okinawa from incoming barrage of Chinese missiles? You can't, because China have all these missiles based in China that can easily cover in the entirety of first island chain, and now they can easily reach the second island chain as well. The Chinese aircraft carrier attack group already have been cruising around the water around Guam. So now this is why U.S. decide. What is that, Alex? What is that? Please tell us. What are you showing us?
Okay, let me get you the box. But
okay.
I have all these little models here. This is a submarine. This is the Chinese submarine here. Let me show you the writing on the box so you guys can, explain it a little bit better than I can. Okay, one sec. I'll bring you all my gadgets over. Okay, give me a sec.
Man, it's something about guys and these weapons. I have a friend, Aram Pan from DPRK 360, the Singaporean guy.
No.
Oh, he was invited to attend the Party Foundation 80th Party Foundation Day in Pyongyang, and they displayed a full ICBM. And he called me afterwards. He's like, "Dude, I have never seen an ICBM in real life. They are so big."
What do we got here?
Let me see. Let's read it. Senhai Lijian.
The sharp blade of the deep seas.
Type 94 strategic nuclear submarine.
Yeah, and it's called the sharp sword of the deep seas. Is a literal translation of Senhai Lijian.
That's pretty awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. So, they studied the blade.
So, I mean, these are the things. Is when you go around, if you look at the shops here in China, it's quite interesting because when you go into let's just say a normal toy store, right? It's got all the new airplanes. It's got all the new submarines. It's got all the tanks, and to me, it's really getting people to understand that China can defend itself. And that's why I see when we're having these live streams and we're reading in the comments, we're always seeing this very, very, very aggressive, sometimes very aggressive tone, like, there's no way you're going to be able to beat the United States. Our military is 10 times,
Alex,
Korea.
Please do not talk shit about my hate followers. I love people who hate watch me.
I love your hate followers.
I love the people who hate watch me to help with the algorithm.
I know, it's beautiful. But the other thing I wanted to point out is, I was sitting down, I was on vacation a couple of years ago, and I was talking to this guy who sold military equipment. And he says, yeah. I said, the budgets are huge. He says, well, not really, because, they don't get that much more gear. And I said, well, explain. And he said, well, we're not going to sell a hammer that you can buy at Home Depot for $10 to the U.S. military. We're going to sell it for $400. I said, what? He says, yeah, everything is massively inflated. We got to make money for the shareholders. So he says, $1 trillion budget is not really $1 trillion budget. It's a budget spent $1 trillion, but you might get X amount of goods for it. And he says, in fact, it keeps shrinking each year, the amount of hardware that they get for the amount of money. The budget can't keep up with the amount of inflation that they're inflating these goods at. And that makes sense to me. And the other thing is that here's a country that hasn't been to war in I don't know how many years, 50 years, guys? Am I right about that? Close? Okay.
You're talking about China, right?
Yeah.
Ever since
Yeah,
Vietnam.
China hasn't been to war for 40
70,
years. Yeah.
what is that, 79?
40 years. 40 years.
Okay. So 40 some years, right? Plus or minus. And then you have the Americans that have spent money, blue money, as you said, Chongqing, they've done the car salesman or the tank salesman used car lot. They've dumped all their gear off. And then they're bragging about how amazing the military is. Don't get me wrong. I respect military people, individuals. My father was in the Navy. My grandfather was died in the Second World War by a German U-boat. I know the history. I've been to the museum. I've read about it. I understand it. I have the utmost respect for military personnel. But when it comes to, this continued rhetoric, like our military we're better and we can do this. I think that we have to use, and Carl, you and I have followed this a lot. We have to use the Ukraine-Russian situation as, wait a minute, NATO has gone nowhere since 2022. They've gone nowhere. All that's happened is as you say, Chongqing, they've cleared out the lots, the used car lots of the tanks that were collecting dust, or the HIMARS that were collecting dust, or those good old Tom Cruise Maverick airplanes that were sitting there that were used in the Top Gun first movie. Those are moving out too. So they've cleared the shelves out. And what did they do? Hey, let's open up 2 more dealerships. One is Sweden and one is Finland. Let's open them up and let's just grab the GDP of cash and let's pump and ride this. And that's exactly what they're doing. So I am not convinced that the Americans should be talking tough right now. And I think, I don't want to steer too much away from the main topic here of Japan, but we are about to see in the next couple of weeks some very, very serious stuff going on down in Venezuela. And there's 300 billion barrels of oil at stake here. There's massive, massive, massive Chinese investment in these countries. And what does America do? They get involved in this, guys. And this involves everybody. Everybody's going to be hit by this.
Well, speaking of Ukraine, the Ukrainian military probably has the most experience right now fighting a real modern battle against a peer competitor. And guess what? They're being demolished right now. But I would say U.S. military, Ukrainian military probably even have more combat experience than all the NATO troops combined. And they're getting demolished. And the Ukraine battlefield really show what the 21st century modern war is like. It's nothing like what we have seen before, which is just U.S. Air Force bombing bunch of sheep herders in Afghanistan. Right? That's not a real war. But I mean, one of the reason you mentioned Venezuela, one of the reason U.S. is picking Venezuelan right now is because they realize, okay, maybe we can't take China and Russia head on. Let's take on somebody much smaller than our size. Let's go after Venezuela. But even there, I think they're still trying to do it through intimidation. They're still trying to do like regime change on the cheap. They're hoping the Venezuelan society would crack and having some kind of regime change against the Maduro government. But
they got the Nobel Peace lady in there. She's ready to rock.
This is what Trump really we know Trump really wanted that prize, but they have to give it to Machado because Machado is the one who is giving credibility to U.S. intervention by calling for it. I mean, imagine that a Nobel Peace Prize winner calling for military action against her own country. We live in the 1980s.
She's a divider. She's not a unifier, that lady.
Wow, there's a reason she got a Nobel Peace Prize.
Did you know that lady, the same day, February 26th of this year, okay, when nobody heard about her, nobody outside of Caracas knew about her, okay, Maria Machado. No one's heard about her outside of Caracas until a few weeks ago, right? But she just magically was on triggered program with Donald Trump Jr. the day that the father said, okay, I'll let Exxon or Chevron go back into the country and they can explore for oil, but none of the money can come back into the country. And she was on the TV program on the same day on Trump Jr. No one, you guys didn't know that? Like 5-6 months ago, she was already on Donald Trump Jr.'s podcast. This is a goddamn setup, guys. It's crazy. February 26th. Look it up, everybody. This lady was not known until the Nobel Peace Prize came out a few weeks ago, right?
She was involved with things like the Atlas Network many years ago, like
NGO organizations.
She was like a nobody that would prop up propagandists like Park Geun-hye from North Korea doing the that sort of regime change stuff. Like she ran in those circles, and unless you followed those circles, you wouldn't have heard of her until just a few months ago.
Well, Donald Trump Jr. heard of her on the 26th of February of this year, the same day as Papa Trump brought out the embargo on Chevron. That basically said, yeah, you can take oil out of the ground, but you got to bring the money to America. Like anybody's going to agree to that, right? Okay, yeah. Come on in, take my oil, take 300 barrels of it, but don't give me anything, and just watch everybody, be completely PO'd at you. So, yeah, she's on that show. She's frog marching this entire country into a war. When we hear these people talk about, oh, yeah, narco-terrorists in boats. Do you know how many nautical kilometers between Venezuela and the coast of the United States are? Does anybody know? 2,000. Those boats only go maybe 100 to 150 kilometers. I mean, Carl, you're in Bali.
Alex, first of all, Americans don't understand kilometers. Second of all, Americans don't understand geography, okay? You're asking too much. You're expecting too much. But it's but right now, I think the whole Japan, China, getting back to our original topic, I think China will take measures, for example, the curbing of the tourism, to put Japan on notice. This transgression will not go unpunished.
I don't think it's too late. You can always, these things can always be repaired.
No way.
They can.
Sorry, guys. No way. No, their tourism is toast. Japan's tourism is going to get smashed.
Well, I mean, no. I think if the Japanese diplomats grovel sufficiently, I think it can still work. It can still
You were
work.
able to get that many Chinese tourists in Japan after like doing like human experiments on Chinese people, chemical like germ warfare, massacring a bunch of people. They can recover from this.
Yeah,
They just
yeah,
gotta
yeah,
Okay,
be
let
Yeah.
me give you guys a little bit of a history lesson here. Okay, I'm not Carl Zaw history, and I'm not Shangyu history. Carl Zaw is the walking encyclopedia. I get it, but I'm gonna bring up Thailand again. Okay, why I'm gonna bring up Thailand again is because this country, they know how to bring in tourists worldwide. Okay, they brought back in 2018, 19, and then we had, of course, the pandemic. But before that, the Chinese came in there like you could not believe. They revolutionized the entire country in the entire tourism business for Thailand. Okay. And then a couple of mishaps happened. They weren't good. Some of them had to do with some people losing their lives on some tourist boats and some other things. And then there was another instance here just recently. I think you heard about it. The border issues with some of these scam centers. And
Yeah.
poof.
Myanmar. Yeah,
It's
that's
gone.
famous now. Like,
Right.
that's
But
famous.
what
now,
I'm saying, guys, is it's gone. And right now is supposed to be the high season in Thailand. And when I was back there in November, because I'd lived there for 8 years, I have homes there. When I was there, usually it was impossible to get a hotel, impossible to get a taxi, impossible. The sky was the limit there. And the vendors just said, yeah, Chinese, they're gone. They left, they're gone. I said, when are they coming back? Don't know. And the government's in panic mode. They reduced the visa fees to basically visa on arrival. No, don't need it. Visa fee, don't need it. Just come in, to the point where they actually want to pay for flights for people to come now.
Yeah, the problem is a couple of Chinese influencers went to Thailand and got kidnapped and got sent over to
But
Myanmar.
the power of netizens, and that's what I'm trying to portray here, guys. If we think this Japan thing is just going to blow over in a week, and then the Japanese will come here, well, a year, 5 years. I mean,
within 5. 5
so
years.
5 years. Yeah, 5. Okay. Well, I'll pass that comment on to the Thailand people. Don't worry, guys. 5 years without your taking care of your bottom line, no problem. No problem.
Okay, from that perspective, obviously. Yeah.
I think the easiest way to see, guys, is, I don't know if you guys pay attention to a lot of this, but when I'm traveling and I'm looking for hotels and stuff, I'm starting to see a lot of change, and this has happened after the pandemic and during the pandemic. But the Marriott Group, they have bought so many other hotel chain groups. It's unbelievable. I didn't know that. We got hotels like the St. Regis hotel chains, big major brand chains. They're all under that umbrella. It was massively consolidated in the last few years here. And I would say if you're booking a hotel, it's pretty hard to get, unless it's a boutique family style hotel, it's hard to get outside of that web, because they've gone in there and basically bought everybody up during this pandemic that happened. And, when it comes to this Japanese thing, and this is one thing I noticed about Japan when I was there a few times. Yes, it's got its international chains, but there's a lot of mom and dad hotels that, still expensive, but that's where a lot of the travelers do go, because Japan was not, and I still think today is not, the most affordable country to travel to, and it's quite pricey. So if you're going to go stay at a normal hotel there, I would say, so I don't mean to say normal hotel, but let's just say 3-star, 4-star, or even 5-star hotel, you're looking above $500, $600, $700 a night. So if you want to get down to the 100, 150, that's where it comes to the small business guys. And the issue is they don't have the balance sheets that can withhold this. And these are going to be the guys that are going to get hammered. And that changes the whole different. I want to use the Thailand model to the audience to give you guys an example. Thailand used to be very, very affordable and very, very cheap and very, very, economic to travel to. It's not anymore. These hotel chains have gone in there and they have pretty much consolidated the market, and the prices have gone 3 or 4 times of what they used to be. And they're not getting any better. It's just that's where it is. So I'm just saying that I think the first thing that's going to break this thing and get hammered is the tourism business. I know you guys don't think it's so serious, but I don't want to sound like a broken record here. But I'm just going to say that let's see 6 months from now who's crying about tourism.
But see, Alex, I don't think Takaichi cares about moms and pop shops in Japan. That's a problem. Right?
But those are the pillar of the economy, man. Those are people that make the economy.
But she doesn't care.
Just like Trump doesn't really care about soybean farmers.
She doesn't care, but that's
even though the soybean farmers voted for him. Trump doesn't care about the soybean farmers.
Gentlemen, I get it. What I'm trying to say is, when those businesses collapse, then there is so much pressure on that government that the government then gets a visit by the Pelosi's, or if you see Lindsey Graham go to Japan in the next 60 days, look out, okay? Because look out if Lindsey Graham is on the plane saying that I love Japan and it's great and I had a great time here. The number one military, salesman is on the road. And that's what I'm saying. We have to really watch which countries go in there for a nice little visit here over the next 30 to 60 days, because I think that this country seems to feel that it's got confidence. And, Trump's made it to them many times that, our troops that are on your thing, somebody's got to be paying for this. And maybe they'll give them a reason to support America, to support Japan. I don't know. Your guys' thoughts on that? Do you think this is going to escalate?
I think it's very difficult because right now Trump's priority is to recalibrate Sino-U.S. relations, which have been very bad for the past few years, especially after the whole trade war and everything. I think
trade war is still going on.
Yeah. But in the middle of this, it's an attempt at recalibrating, and part of the trade war was renegotiating many terms of trade. But now it's like, okay, once that is I don't want to say taken care of, but once that's been somewhat addressed, now the next step is to recalibrate, like I said, and reposition the Sino-U.S. relations into something a little bit more workable and stable, because the U.S. simply cannot afford to have so many conflicts in so many parts of the world, especially right now.
They don't give a damn. They don't care. I mean, this is Pete Hegseth, the head of the Department of War. It's been renamed instead of Department of Defense, Department of War, going out and saying FAFO to our enemies. Who does he classify as his enemies? I bet you I could play you about 20 sound clips, and China's going to be in most of them.
But China was a shithole when they defeated the U.S.-led troops in Korea. I don't think China is shook today, and China's.
I totally agree with you on that. I 100% agree with you on that. I'm saying that the Americans don't give a damn. You think that they're just going to sit back and, good deal, Trump. Trump wants everything.
You want to hear my theory? You want to hear my theory, Alex?
Tell me, I love it.
I think the reason Takaichi did pull this stunt is because she saw that U.S. is pivoting away to Latin America. And that now she's doing this to hey, don't forget about us. You can't leave Western Pacific. We still need you here to help us confronting China. Don't go too far to Venezuela. We might still need a USS Ford over here instead of in the Caribbean. I think that might play into might be a factor, because
the only way you get America's attention is you wag the dog, you give them something to, oh wow, yeah, maybe we, all it would take is one small, very delicate little interaction in the South China Sea, and that's a powder keg, man.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
want to
mean, right now
respond
you
to Dave real quick.
Do
He
you want me to bring
said,
up the comment, Chongyu?
He
Which
just
one
said
is it?
don't insult. He just said don't insult shitholes, and I didn't mean that as an insult. I was just saying back then objectively China was very
Yeah.
developmentally backwards, but yet we were
Yeah, we
still
know that.
like two countries, China and Korea, against China and the DPRK against 16 pushed. Now, okay, from the Korean perspective, yeah, it was a stalemate. But from the Chinese perspective, the goal of our entry into the war was to push U.S.-led forces back to the 38th parallel, and we accomplished that. So,
Yeah, hell yeah.
look at the material disadvantage. We had every single disadvantage against us. We still managed to accomplish those goals. Now look at China's military capabilities today. It's no match. Is China capable of launching a war of aggression against the U.S.? No, but that's also not what China's seeking to do.
Hey guys, did Trump meet Kim? Remember, he said he wanted to meet Kim in his last visit
Not
over
this
here.
time. He didn't meet
Not this time.
he didn't meet Marshal Kim Jong Un this time.
Oh,
maybe next time.
Because I mean, right now,
Kim
Marshal
needs
Kim
love
Jong
over
Un.
here too, man. Kim needs love.
Oh, Marshal Kim Jong Un right now, he's in a much better position than he was on the
Yeah.
last
Hell
time
yeah.
we met.
Hell
'Cause,
yeah.
I mean, right now the new special relations between them and Russia, especially in the context of the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the DPRK's support, not just sending troops, but also the selling of weapons in exchange for, they made billions. Have you seen the new videos coming out from Pyongyang? The new they developed a new Hwasong district. Some people are calling it Pyonghatan.
I love it.
But you
I
know,
love it. I love
but you know, you saw Kim got the guest of honor spot during the China's victory parade.
Yeah.
You know, it was Kim, Putin, and then Xi Jinping. They all walked together. So you know, Kim is sitting pretty right now. He's in a very much. I agree. He's in a much better position than.
So my point
than
is,
before.
back then, especially in 2017, they were hit. 2017-18, they were hit pretty hard by sanctions in response to some of their ICBM tests in 2016. But right now, their economy is good. They're a lot more confident. They have more options. They're not going to meet with President Trump unless he drops the whole idea of them denuclearizing, because right now they're just like, okay, we're not going to denuclearize at all. We can halt our advancements of capabilities, but we're not going to get rid of what we already have. So until you can accept us as a nuclear power, there's nothing to talk about.
You know, it's
Yeah,
I saw an interesting thing come across my newswire here today, and this is, I think, how North Korea is also doing well. They're pretty savvy on cryptocurrency and stuff. I mean, these guys know what they're doing. But one of Trump's company was caught or is being investigated now for selling some of these coins to some of this massive trading group out of North Korea. So they've got to answer some questions in Congress. But you know, I think the world is very different when it comes to financial stuff. A few years back, it used to take hard currency to move people around, and that's look at Russia. Shut off from Visa, shut off from MasterCard, shut off from American Express. All the major Fortune 500 companies pulled out of there. Apple pulled out. Everybody pulled out. Sanctions, SWIFT banking system cut off. Okay. The natural gas shut down. The export, the airspace to Europe cut down. Now the Shenzhen agreement that would allow Russians to be on a multiple visa gone as well. 140 billion seized in Euroclear. Business as usual. In fact, the economy is doing okay. So if Russia can do it, some of these other nations are saying, you know what? Okay, yeah, embargo us, sanction us, hit us as hard as you want, because money is moving some other way.
Yeah, I mean, billions have gotten into the DPRK ever since just in the past few years. And even though, look, tourism to the DPRK has shut down ever since, 2020. It only resumed.
Do we have an update on this yet? Are they back open? Or I thought they
No.
were kind of open and not open. Then
Okay,
they had some awesome little seaside thing, and his daughter was there. I was getting all
I got the rundown as an industry insider. Okay, so
okay. Tell us.
they shut down because of COVID. They were first to shut down,
Yes,
and
of course.
then they reopened, but only to Russians, right?
Yeah.
And then earlier this year, in late February, they thought about there's a special economic zone called Rasum, which is on the border between China and Russia.
You can open up a bank account there too, can't you? Right?
Yeah, but that's like a tourist. That's a tourist trap.
Still, it's great though. I'll do it.
Yeah. And that card is only usable in Rasun for now, but
That's
Rasun
okay.
is where they test a lot of.
I
things.
trust
Like,
my money in Rawson bank account than I do in a U.S. bank. That's for
the
sure.
Golden, hit up Golden Triangle Bank and Rasun. It's so they reopened Rasun for like a few weeks, but then they shut it down. And there's many theories as to why they shut it down, but one of the working theories among many people is they're not happy with a lot of the negative press that came out of it, because you have all these asshole influencers from the West going, oh, look at this, it's such a shithole, man. Oh, they're so brainwashed. These kids are like singing to us, and there's a video of an ICBM in the background. They're being taught violence. They're saying all of that bullshit. And like the DPRK at this point is just like, hey, we let you in as guests, as a friendly gesture, and you're treating us this way. We don't need your money because we got we got other sources of money. So then that shut down. But then there was the Pyongyang Marathon in April. Now the Pyongyang Marathon, it's not tourism. So let's say you sign up for the Pyongyang Marathon through Koryo Tours. You're not going in as
Carl and me running.
Oh yeah. Well,
what are you saying? What are you saying, Alex?
No, actually, here's a trick. If you join the marathon, but you walk the marathon, it's one of the few opportunities where you could just stroll through Pyongyang. Like
That is so fat. You know, guys, I know we're on North Korea, but I have to tell you guys, I'm absolutely fascinated about a society of 25 million people that haven't been hit with massive advertising, massive billboards, massive, social media platforms. Just a society that's just getting on with their lives. There's love in North Korea, whether you like it or not, because there's babies born every year. People still love each other. Life goes on. People are human beings. But man, it is the last country in the world that is almost pure. Do you know where I'm going with that?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You're just talking about China in the 1980s. I lived through that. I lived through China in the 1980s.
No, I feel like it's one of the last few societies where, like, for example, when people are dating or marrying, they meet much more organically than like elsewhere in the world now, which is all like, social media and all of that. It's a very different dynamic. You can feel it among the interactions with the people. Now, I'm not saying it's a perfect society without its problems, but every country has its problems. And it's
look what it's facing, right? Would it have all these problems? Would Venezuela have all these problems if it wasn't sanctioned into an oblivion, right?
Of course not. Yeah,
right. That's what I'm saying.
What's interesting about these sanctions is it encourages under the table activities, because a country needs to survive, and if it can't do so legally, it's got to make money somehow.
Mm-hmm. But I started the other day because I was looking at stuff on Pyongyang. I mean, starting to get some nice video coming out of there now. But the other thing is that it reminds me of watching a video of my high school days in the late 1980s, where people were interacting.
Yeah,
they weren't.
That's a real
their
thing.
Faces weren't in the phones. And if you watch, and I'm not saying North Korea is in the 1980s or 90s.
I understand you're talking about the social dynamics.
The social dynamics are people are bloody people.
Yeah,
and
they're a healthy society.
To me, it's fascinating why, and this is unfortunate that I think some people that went over there to discover it need to understand that, this is a country. This isn't a zoo where you can go over there and just treat people the way that you want to treat people and then come home and blast videos out on social media. there needs to be some responsibility. And I think this is where it comes to content creators. If you're getting on a plane or you're getting on a train to North Korea, just bloody enjoy it, show it, come home, tell a
Don't be a
nice
dick.
story. But this
like
is not
this.
a country that needs to go viral.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's like this, Alex. If let's say if you were a very poor friend of mine and I went to your
Mhm.
house, I wouldn't look for problems and then take a bunch of pictures and upload them and say, "Oh, look at my friend Alex's house. It's a shithole." I wouldn't do that. How does that help anybody? It doesn't help anybody. But hey, if it looks like you're very into their society and how they work, and hey,
I'm
once they
fascinated by it.
reopen, man, I'll take you there.
Absolutely fascinated for it. Just fascinated. Guys, before we end the show here, I'm bringing this clip up, guys. I want your guys' thoughts on this. It's on the screen there. Do you see it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Your Peter's comment.
Oh, yeah.
It's true. I mean, like, because when Japan came to Southeast Asia, they especially targeted the ethnic Chinese community here because Chinese diaspora in Southeast Asia, they provided a lot of support to China during the war. So when Japan, after Pearl Harbor, when Japan took over much of Southeast Asia, in British Malaya, in Singapore, in Dutch East Indies, they specifically targeted ethnic Chinese out for revenge. So yeah, it's quite brutal, and there's still a lot of memories. I mean, like a lot of these memories tend to be suppressed because post-war Japan has kind of reinvented its image as this like cool place with Pokemon and anime, and but it's never, those memories are never far below the surface. People still remember. This is not, this is what happened to their grandparents. Right.
But we, like I said today, last week, we had Remembrance Day in Canada. That's a massive day, Carl, and people don't forget. And boy, oh boy. Xiangyu, do you have any comments on this latest comment I brought up on the screen?
I'd say, yeah, I understand. I basically agree with Carl about this. And boycotts do happen all the time, but I think Chinese people were not, our culture isn't one of perpetual self-victimization. We look at the past as, okay, that's something we overcome. And our biggest, the best thing to do now is to show the world how great we can live despite having all of these hardships. We don't want to be pitied. We don't want people to feel bad for us. But if people like this Japanese prime minister provoke us, we will still show them that we're not people to be messed with, and that the days where they could just treat us like subhumans are gone. Yeah, it's a thing of the past.
Yeah,
So-
I think that one of the reasons she did what she did is because in the past they felt they could get away with it. There was no consequences. But today in 2025, they will feel consequences, whether it's in tourism or other part of their business. They're gonna get hit.
So you think that this could probably blow over sooner rather than later, something like this, guys?
Probably.
Give it a couple of years. Give it a
Give it a
couple
couple years, and plus, after all of this goes down, everything in Japan will be super cheap. You'll have these you'll have these like new middle class Chinese families who I guess didn't really have opportunities in the decades before to
Okay.
travel. Now going, hey, Japan's like super cheap. Let's go there and like buy things or just go skiing or something. Hey, Carl, we can go skiing in Hokkaido now if everything becomes super cheap.
I'm up for skiing. No worries, boys. Okay, gentlemen. Well, thank you very much for joining the show. We're going to end it here. And everybody, check out the channels. Can you guys give your channels a promo here, guys?
Sure. Mine, just my name, Carl Za, is also on YouTube. Or you can follow me on X. I'm a prolific ship poster on X. Or check for more serious topic. Either follow my YouTube, or if you're more history inclined, check out my Silicon Steel podcast on Patreon, where I currently do a chronological retelling of Chinese history from very beginning. Now I'm at around the year 279 BC. So I'm covering the last stretch of the Warring States period that leading to the first unification by the first emperor. So if that's your cup of tea, go to Patreon, support me, support my lifestyle as a surfer in Bali.
Carl, you need to hire somebody to make like TikTok clips of your videos with like the highlights, because you're such a walking encyclopedia. You'll like talk about something and then like go on a 40-minute tangent about Dutch fort designs, which is very interesting. But then like a lot of people, they'll just like forget everything you said before. So you gotta, once you get bigger, hire somebody that makes those Gen Z edits, and you'll blow up, man.
Okay.
It's
You guys are
they're a
awesome.
wealth of information. It's presented the right way, you know. And on my show, it's look at the URL over here, stxy.show. That has all of my links. That has my YouTube channel, my social media stuff. And yeah, I do something. I focus more on Taiwan and cross-strait issues, but I talk about all of China, including Taiwan. And recently, I started vlogging instead of just doing a podcast. So going around different parts of China, filming and showing Chinese current events in history, and not just talking about it. So if that's something that's up your alley, feel free to check it out. My first vlog episode just came out today. It is about the origins of the Qing dynasty, you know, with Nora Hatzi and Huang Taiji and all of that. And you can learn more and check out, yeah, just learn about a lot of esoteric stuff.
Okay, and where do we find you? Where can the people find you?
Oh, the URL over here.
Right
The
there, right?
stxy.show. It has all of my links.
Let me just put that up there in the chats, guys. So if I just put www, is that okay?
That works, yeah. .stxy.show.
stxy.show. Okay, there we go, guys. That's in all of everybody's comments. That's blasting out through the screen now. Don't forget to visit that website as well and check it out. And of course, Carl Zaw. You got to go to Carl Zaw on Twitter too. You got to see what this guy gets up to on Twitter. Holy smokes, man. Like I try to go to bed thinking, is this going to be the last tweet? Is Carl done? Is he? No, he's not done. He's never done. So, and big thanks out to the audience tonight here as well. Interesting that you're right, Carl. I started to see more people on our vertical format than our horizontal format. So that's new for us to hear at iChongqing, guys.
Yeah.
Interesting. Isn't it great?
Oh, it's actually long videos like VODs. They mostly watch nowadays on smart TVs, but then for live streams, it's mostly on phones.
Well, we all learned something tonight. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Massive appreciation to you. Sit backstage. I'm going to come back to you guys in a moment. I'm just going to bring up a video here. And unfortunately, I'm not going to play music tonight, guys, because we might get Carl's channel
Copyright strike.
copyrighted. So,
Got to use some fair use music. So,
yeah, wait a minute. I think I do have some fair use. Hey, hang on a sec. That is interesting. Do I have fair use music? Okay, I got something called acoustic cinematic. Should we try that, guys?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay,
Sure,
let me
let's
just
go
see.
for it.
Let me just see if the acoustic cinematic is good. There we go. We're gonna give you guys a shot of Chongqing on the way out here. But anyways, guys, thanks once again for joining in to this live stream, impromptu live stream. We did it on the quick. And enjoy the scenery, and what a pleasure. Check out Carl Zaw's videos too. We got another one dropping here in a day or two, his vlog with his family, and Yuen, a girl who works as one of my colleagues here in the company. Have a good night, guys. Chat later. Stick backstage. I'll see you guys in a moment. Thanks for watching. All right, guys. Bye for now.
Bye.